you before, I don't
I
think.
I've
No?
you for a little bit on your page, probably I don't know, maybe a month or two, because I've only just sort of really got going with my own Facebook page. So yeah, I think I've been following you for a couple of months. So yeah.
Oh, well, I said on Facebook, is there any ex-teachers who want to chat? Excuse me, oh, it's just gone dark. I've got my computer on. And you very kindly were the first person. I was like, oh, straight away, I'll do that one. I'll speak to that person. Okay, then. So let's talk about your time in the classroom. And you openly said to me you didn't want to climb the ladder. What was your reason for that? And what was your time like in the classroom?
Yeah, so I was in the classroom for 20 years without a break. And I've just left only in July, so very recently.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I think I just decided early on that I could see that the whole SLT thing was just not going to be for me really. I think I've always had children while I've been a teacher, so that's always been a factor as well, because I could obviously see that, climbing the ladder would mean working more, and being a teacher was more than enough work for me. So yeah, I think I could just see that it sort of takes you away from the children and out of class a lot of the time as well, and that just wasn't something that appealed to me. I think maybe when I started out, I quite liked the idea of being a Senko, but then when I saw the reality of that
Yeah.
paperwork that was involved, because a good friend of mine was a Senko for a long time at the school that I was at, and I just thought, yeah, it's unfortunately, like lots of aspects of the job, the paperwork just takes over.
Yeah, it's Senko is one job that has recently just gone mad. So many. I've been on a few Senko groups, and they've just said that the workload has just gone insane. Like it's just um, not manageable, really. So you've obviously worked mainly in Key Stage 1, and you did also some time in Year 3. How did you like those groups? Was there one group you liked more, less?
Yeah, so I think I always say to people, I think my heart always lies in Key Stage 1, but I've done other year groups and enjoyed them. So yeah, I started off in Year 1. I think at the year going back so long, I can't remember. I think my Year 1 2 mix, and then I went to year 2 thing, and then I did year 1, and then I went back to year 2, and then I went to year 3, and I really wasn't too happy about that, because I'd always said I didn't want to do Key Stage 2, but it was after COVID, and I took my year 2 class up to year 3 with me, so I had them for 2 years. So that did make it a bit easier, but I still just felt that as a class it just wasn't really for me, like teaching a class of that age. Funnily enough, I don't mind doing older children when I'm tutoring, because it's one-to-one basis, it just feels very different. But I just always felt that I didn't want to venture any more into stage two. And then I went on maternity leave, so I was only there for a year. And then when I came back, they asked me to go down to reception and nursery, which again I'd never done. And I did that for a couple of years, because then I went on maternity leave again. Um, and I did enjoy that, but it was very different. It took me quite a while, especially because I was working part time. I was only doing 2 days a week. It took me quite a while to get my head around it, because it's just so different. Like how you set up everything and how you plan for your lessons is just so different to the rest of the school. It's all about the enhancements and the environment and all of that, rather than actually sort of planning a lesson as such. Obviously, you do lessons, but it took me a little while to get to grips with all of that. But I did enjoy it.
Lovely. And why do you think it's better? We'll go on to your tutoring, but why do you think it's better tutoring older children one to one rather than a whole class?
I don't really know. I think just because I don't know. I suppose part of me has always just been a bit scared of teaching older children, 30 of them. Um, I always felt like I didn't, I sort of like the enthusiasm and the cuteness that came with the younger ones. They're very, they want to be at school, they want to be learning, they want to please you. And obviously the older children they do lose that a little bit, not all of them, but some of them. Um, and yeah, so I think I was always just a little bit scared. And the longer I went without ever teaching that year group, the I think the more set in your ways you get, really, don't you? But with tutoring, I've always sort of pushed myself out my comfort zone a little bit. Been like, oh well, yeah, one-to-one basis, it's fine. I've got my own children. My own children, some of them have gone through those ages, so I know they're not actually that scary at all. I think before my own children reached those ages, I was a bit like, oh, um, but yeah, so I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind doing it when I'm tutoring at all. It's funny, isn't it? But I think it's just a different relationship, isn't it, when when you're tutoring someone one to one than having a whole class of children.
Yeah, I found that because I did mainly Key Stage 1 early years, and it's funny because a class of Year 3 children not terrify me, but it was a bit overwhelming class of Year 3 children compared to like a class of 4-year-olds.
Yeah,
Whereas now, like I work with loads of Year 3, Year 4, Year 5, Year 6 children,
yeah,
and they're lovely. They're really nice, and the kids were lovely then, but it was just terrifying. I don't know why it was terrifying. But
but
yeah, it
a lot
was
of
terrifying.
teachers are terrified of a class of reception children as well, though. Like it works both ways,
Yeah.
doesn't it? I think there's a lot of like year six teachers that are like, oh, I'd be terrified of going in there as well. So it's funny, isn't it? Teachers just tend to have their ideas of what they like.
I do remember teachers openly saying, "Oh, if they send me to that class, I know they're trying to get rid of me
Yeah.
because they were either one or the other." So, what was the final decision that made you decide to just? So, like you say, you've recently just moved,
Yeah.
recently just left teaching. So, what was the final decision to do that?
So I think if I'm honest, I've had one foot out the door for a few years. So since I've my youngest two children are 4 and 1, and so since I had them and went on maternity leave and then went back, I did part time after my daughter. I went from full time before I had her down to part time 2 days a week, and then I think I just started enjoying things less and less. And I've been at a school where we've had a succession of different head teachers. We've had quite over the last few years, and I just found that it was all just really stressful.
Mhm. Oh, sound's gone.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, no, that was back now. Sorry, it randomly went quiet. Yeah, it can be stressful. I was in a school that like we got the worst of the worst grading for Ofsted,
Yeah,
and it was relentless then. You had every acting head come in, and one it would be all right if they were all on the same page, but
yeah,
different pages. Like one
yeah,
would want to do one thing, another one would want to do something else, and so you were just constantly confused.
yeah.
So finally stepping away, did that feel freeing or did that feel really scary?
Yeah, so I think a mixture of both. So yeah, I was due back from maternity leave in September, and after a little bit of discussion with the new head teacher, who I've never met before, um, I I just thought I need to go now. I just don't want to do it, and the relief I felt at
Yeah,
not go back was massive. So I did feel hugely relieved, but also really scared because I've had a secure job for 20 years
yeah,
where I much I
yeah.
was paid every month, um, and that obviously stepping away from that is quite a big thing to do, really. But yeah, I haven't regretted it once yet. So it's only been a few.
Funny. So, as a tutor, you offer both online and face-to-face tuition. Which one do you prefer and why?
I've been doing tutoring on and off for 9 years. So I did it alongside teaching. I did it quite a lot at one point, but then it just became too much because I was working full time. Um, and so I'd only ever done face to face. But then obviously when I sort of thought this is what I'm going to do, I thought I'll offer online because I'd done I taught online during COVID, which obviously is
That was another ball game. Totally.
but I did think, well, I sort of know the technology involved, and I think I can do it. Again, I'd not actually done it, but I had done it to my class, and we did loads of recorded lessons and stuff like that. So I thought I'll offer it because I didn't want to limit myself to just my local area. Um, so yeah, and I've surprised myself because I really love it. I really love the online, and yeah, I think if I'm honest, I probably will move more towards online as I go on. Just because of the travel involved in going to other people's houses. It just takes up so much time, and I just love the fact that when I'm doing online, I can do them back to back. Um, but also, I didn't realise, how much fun the sessions can still be and how interactive they can be. I think I just thought the same as a lot of parents think, which is that, oh, it's not gonna work, sort of thing, or it's gonna be really hard or really boring or whatever it is that puts people off. Um, but yeah, because I had a tutor for my son when he did his GCSE, and she-
Over.
and that well. So I think that sort of made me think, that was a few years ago now. That also made me think, oh, okay, that it can be done. Um, so yeah, I think yeah, if I'm honest, I feel I feel a little bit disloyal to face, but I prefer online. Yeah, I do.
I was like you, I started with face to face, and it was right after lockdown, and it was a nightmare. Not the families were lovely, really nice children, but places that used to take 10 minutes to get to 20, 25 minutes plus, and that between lessons was really stressful. And then trying to remember all your resources and all
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And you can't do as many lessons, like you say, with online, you can just go from one to the other. There's benefits because like I do miss like the face to face lessons.
yeah.
Um, but when you are, if it's your full time job, it's just, in my opinion, not personally the way forward if you want it to be like a full time business.
That's it, and I think because now this is the first time I've done it as a business. Whenever I've done tutoring in the past, it's always been like my thing on the side, so it's never been like, really as important, not in terms of the children, but in terms of like how seriously I took it. Now it's a business, so I've got to think what makes sense for me. And also with my children, it's just so much easier. Like right now, my 1-year-old's having a nap. I can fit in a session while he's having a nap. It's I can't do that if I do face to face. I've got to find a babysitter. Then I've got, it's so for me, I do think the online is it just works better for me, really.
Definitely. So you are a mum of five when you mention your children. When you told me that, I was like, how do you manage that? Like five children plus
Yeah,
a full time job. So you're a mum of five, and you did say to me that some of your children are neurodivergent.
yeah.
How has parenting informed your teaching?
So I think so I've got a very wide spread of ages. We've got our eldest is 22 and their youngest is 1. So we've been having children for a long time. And so as long as I've been a teacher, I've been a parent. I had my eldest 2 children when I was training to be a teacher. I had them during
Oh, okay.
I was at uni, which again I wouldn't necessarily advise, but that's what happened.
Oh,
So I think being a parent and a teacher has always helped me because I suppose I see it from both sides. And then also now that some of my children are autistic and have ADHD, dyslexia, got a lot of different things going on. So I think that does help me to maybe just understand what it's like sometimes, because I think um, I've been guilty of it in the past, but I think I've thought before when parents have sort of said that certain things about their children, I've thought, really, like, oh, is that the case? And now I've got children that have those same difficulties. My daughter in particular is, she's 4, but she's on the ASD pathway. Obviously, it takes a long time for
yeah,
diagnosis. Um, I've had a lot of trouble getting her into nursery, getting her into school, all of that kind of thing. A lot of refusal, a lot of anxiety. And now I've experienced that as a parent, I do understand more what it's like, what some parents might be going through, and what might make them late in the morning and things like that. Because I think sometimes people can be a bit judgmental about, or they're always late. And now I understand why you might be late, because I understand those challenges. So I think just being a parent in general can just make you see it from both sides rather than just from the teacher point of view. But yeah, and add in some neurodivergence, and yeah, I think maybe that just makes me a bit more relatable sometimes when I'm talking to parents, because a lot of my students do have additional needs. And so I think sometimes when I'm talking to their parents, and I can say, yeah, I totally understand. I know exactly what you mean, because I've experienced. So I think sometimes that can help.
Yeah, it can really help. I think when I was teaching, as a teacher, you have that all those pressures,
Yeah,
and you're like, well, why haven't they handed this back in, and why haven't they done this?
yeah,
And then the face to face for me was really eye opening, going into families' homes and just seeing, well, actually, this family's got three other children and they're at two other schools, and
yeah,
they've got all the demands of the other schools as well. Um, so it's not just us, and that's why this, and this is happening. And that was really, really eye opening to
yeah,
me. Definitely. And like you say, I've as part of tutoring, I've worked with neurodivergent children, and parents are a lot more open with you as a tutor than a teacher.
yeah,
I've And they tell you things that you would never have known
yeah,
at all, like the tiny things which you think are okay. They're like, oh, it actually takes them a long time to do this. And
yes.
it's eye opening, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot of great teachers out there that do understand. I think there is. I'm not but I do think there's still a lot of work to be done with schools and understanding why certain families might be having certain struggles. And I do think that's why a lot of people do home educate, because it can be so difficult. It's something that I've thought about doing with my daughter, because it's really hard, and you do feel very judged sometimes. When you are late every day for a week, because it does feel like people are just thinking, well, can't control their child, or whatever. And I'm sure some people, I know some people do say things like that as well. So I do think um, there is a lot of work to be done with sort of understanding, situations, and what some people might be going through. Um, so yeah, I think it helps, but it, you don't have to be a parent. You can understand that as without being a parent as well.
I think you've got a deeper understanding of it, definitely. And do you use that not as part of your advertising, but in your conversations with parents,
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
it's a better relationship because
yeah.
you can relate.
I'm quite open about it. I know some parents don't like to talk about it, and I'm sure that comes from a fear of what people might say or what might people think. I mean, luckily we do understand more now about everything. I think things are talked about a lot more now. But like with my one of my sons is 20, and he has ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and I had such a fight with him the whole way through education, because no one believed me. No one believed that there was anything going on. Masked, and people didn't really know about masking then, or they didn't really understand it. It certainly wasn't something that people talked about much. I mean, I think even now people still don't really get masking, because my daughter masks as well, and I still have a little bit of a battle with that. But there's definitely more understanding now. And my son didn't get a diagnosis till he was 17, because just no one at school just always told me he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. And if I'd be rich if I had a pound for every time someone told me that my child was fine, because I know they're not, they're just holding it in. And then obviously you deal with the aftermath of that when you pick them up and they have meltdowns, or they're very emotional, or they're because they've held everything in to try and conform all day. Um, so yeah, I think when you've been through that as a parent and another parent says that to you, you can understand it. But yeah, I'm very open about the fact that you know some of my children have those difficulties, and so I will say that to parents. Sometimes I might get a message saying, "Oh, can you tutor my child? They've got this, whatever it is," and I'll say, "Yeah," and just as part of that conversation, I'll say, "Yeah, I've got a child myself that has that," or so I will say that to them, just because I think sometimes that puts them a bit more at ease, and they know that I'm not going to judge them because I've got that situation myself.
Yeah, definitely. Now, well, I suppose this is kind of been already covered, but you market yourself as a parent and an experienced teacher, and you kind of talked about connecting with clients based on that, but is there any other ways that you find connecting with clients through your own personal experiences that has been beneficial?
Yeah, so I don't really know. I always get a bit scared to ask parents like, "Why did you choose me to be a teacher?" Because like you just don't really know what they're going to say, do you? And
You
I
don't wanna after school, you're just like, "I don't want any more feedback."
uh, yeah, exactly. I think being a teacher makes you afraid of feedback, doesn't it? Because it's like traumatizing. um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't. I'm not sure. Maybe the fact that I do sort of put on my Facebook page about the fact that I do have my own children and that I have experience with neurodiverse children. But also, I guess, the fact that I am an experienced teacher as well. I mean, obviously, I've taught lots of different children over a long time period. So I'd like to think that maybe that does come into it as well. But yeah, I've never actually asked, so I don't know.
I think a lot of people are scared too. What do you think the biggest differences are between teaching a classroom of 30 plus children to one? Or even small groups? Have you tried small groups?
I do small groups as well. I do I do a history group and a geography group and a craft club. And I'm starting a science club soon as well, just because I really enjoy them. Really good. They're only small. Have like maybe six children,
Oh, lovely.
but it seems like a good number. And yeah, I really enjoy that, and it's nothing like being in a class either. Because I don't know. Obviously, in a class, it just feels like you're managing and spinning so many plates all at one time, whereas it doesn't really feel like that when you're tutoring. I just feel like it just gives you so much freedom. I think that's the difference, is that there's just a freedom with tutoring, whether it's in a group or one to one, that you just don't have at school. At school, it's just all about managing behaviour, um, ticking all the boxes of things that you're supposed to be doing in a lesson to make it a good lesson, which, whether you want to do it or not, that's what you've been told you have to do. So that's what you have to do. And you might notice that so and so's reversing his letters, and that child's not holding the pen properly or whatever. But then if this child over here is having some behavioural issues, then you're straight over to that to make sure that everything's okay there. And then you've got to then remember to come back and do an intervention with them later. And it's just, it's all of that kind of thing. Whereas when you're tutoring, you can just be like, oh, they're not holding their pencil correctly. Let's
Look at that.
working on that. Or oh, you've just reversed your number, let's just correct that, shall we? Or it's just, you can just do whatever that child needs, and it's just it's just so much easier, really, isn't it? And yeah, there's just a freedom to not have to plow on regardless. It's like, oh, we can just stop and do, or if they want to talk about something related to it or go off on a bit of a tangent, that's fine as well.
Mm. You can often relate the work then to what they say. But I
Yeah,
remember when we were looking around other schools as part of training or something, and someone had one of the classes, they had don't you know the early years curriculum, like there's 17 areas per child, and each area had a objective and a next step, and they were just all over the windows, and I was like, what is going on? These 3-year-olds will not remember any of this. I was like, this is paperwork gone too far.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
insane.
There's just so much, isn't there, that's just done not for the children, not for the teacher,
No.
because that's ticking a box or whatever. And yeah, tutoring, you just don't have to do that, do you? So you can just, I always try and make sure that I always ask the parent, like, what does your child like what, because then I really
Yeah.
their interest into the lesson, even in maths and things. I've got one of my students loves Minecraft, so all our math sessions are filled with Minecraft characters, just being a bit silly and all of that. Because I think that's the thing with tutoring. A lot of the students that you get have lost confidence somewhere along the line,
Mm.
either through mainstream education or for whatever reason. And I think if you can just make it engaging and fun for them, and get some of their own interest in there, then that's half the battle. And just improving confidence can just that can just be all they need, really, a lot of the time. So yeah, and you just don't have the time, do you, to do that in a whole class of children. You can try your best, but it's impossible.
Mm. Well, we've only got a couple of questions left. What advice would you give to teachers who are thinking about leaving the classroom and going to try tutoring?
Yeah, I would say do it. Definitely do it. I think I sort of held off. I think I held off too long because I thought like a lot of people think that you have to just work after school, and obviously that's not the best time for me because that's when all my children are here. Um, but obviously I've now realised by looking at pages like yours and Katie's tutoring, great as well. You know, things that you just start to realise, don't you, that the opportunities are not just after school. Um, so I wish I'd done it sooner. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, then I would say just go for it.
I don't know whether it's since lockdown, but definitely before lockdown when I was teaching, I was quite naive to the different types of education that was available across the world, really. I just thought every child went to school. Uh,
Yeah,
we're having a few people saying hi, so I don't. I hope I'm not coming across rude, but I've seen loads of highs, so thank you very much for saying hi if you're saying hi. Um, Basically, I didn't realise there was so much out of
yeah,
school, homeschooling, home education, world schooling, all different types of things. But again, I don't know if that's because of lockdown, people have just gone in different directions, or whether it was always there, but now it's just more.
yeah. I feel like because I've got three like older children and then two younger children. I feel like definitely when my older children were at school, primary school, I definitely didn't hear so much of people home educating and you know all the other possibilities, flexi schooling, and you know I didn't know about any of that really. I never really heard about that. Whereas now I had heard of it a bit, but obviously I've learned a lot more about it. So
Yeah.
like you say, because of COVID and things, people have just you know started doing a lot more. I'm not sure, but it definitely seems like there's a lot more of it around now.
Thank you to the person who said, "Hope we're having a nice day." We are. Thank you. Lovely chat. Right. Last question then. Um, where can we find you on social media, and what's next for your tutoring journey? I'm presuming it's more online.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty full now, to be honest, because I don't work full time because obviously I don't, you know, I've still got a 1 year old, so I don't want to, I don't want to be working every day at the moment, and my 4 year old's only on like a part time timetable at the moment at school, just because we're taking it a bit slowly with that. She started reception, but we're not doing full days yet. Um, but yeah, I do definitely want to do more online. So what I've got, so I'm on Facebook as Little Learners Hearts, as in Hertfordshire, in Hertfordshire, so HERTS. And I am on Instagram as well. I'm not as good on Instagram. I do put things on there. I am on there, Little Learners as well. But yeah, Facebook is it just seems to be more reaction on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I do offer one-to-one sessions and group sessions, especially for home ed in the day. I do have spaces in my group sessions, but I am full for all my one-to-one online and face-to-face now. But I do have a waiting list.
Oh, lovely. Well, it's been great to meet you and to chat to you, and I hope everyone checks you out on social media. And I'll leave your link below in the description. I'll do that after this chat. But thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you
Thank
soon.
you everyone for watching.
Bye.
Bye.